Hey, what's up, YouTube? You're watching Ready, Set, Drone. Today, I have Paul Nurkkala with me, and you may not know him by that name, but you probably know him by the name NURK. He won the 2018 DRL Allianz World Championship for drone racing, and he's going to join us, so stay tuned. Man, Paul, thank you so much for joining us today. This is super exciting.
Dude, it's my pleasure. I mean, it's what a dream come true. It's awesome to be here to chat with you, to chat with the RC community in general. I love everything about this, and I'm super excited.
First of all, before we dive into it, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, where you live, all that kind of stuff outside of drones.
Yeah, so I actually grew up in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Not a great place for RC, if you ask me. If you got 5-6 months of snow a year, but in college I moved to Indiana. I lived in Chicago for a year, and then moved to Indianapolis, where I've lived with my wife of 5 years for 4 years, with our dog and our cat. I have a degree in software engineering, so I learned how to program and all of that stuff, gave it up and started flying drones when I got hooked on racing and YouTubing and all that stuff. And so now, I mean, racing and filming and all that stuff, that's my full-time gig now. It's been an adventure.
So tell me a little bit about when you started flying drones. You said that you have a degree as a software engineer. What got you into flying drones, and what was your first drone you ever flew?
Yeah, so my first drone I ever flew, I know for a fact, was a Hubsan X4. It was a present that was given to me by my in-laws for Christmas of 2014. So it was like a stocking stuffer. It was like a little oh, Paul will love this. It'll be fun. It'll be hilarious to play with. And little did they know their son-in-law would be unemployed because he is totally addicted to drones. But I mean, yeah. So I got that drone for Christmas. The day I got it, we're already setting up challenges. Can I fly it through this little thing? Can I land it on this? Can I orbit that? And eventually I broke it. Right, as we all do, we all break stuff often. And I'm like, hey, I'm an engineer, I can fix this. And so went over to YouTube University, learned from RC Model Reviews and all of those guys. And I didn't know anything about electronics. I had never soldered anything. I didn't it was foreign to me. I didn't grow up with RC like a lot have, and so this was my first exposure, my first goings in. And so I'm searching around, finding videos on how to fix things, build things, and I stumbled across the Juz video, the French guys flying through the woods with LEDs set to Wood Kid, Run Boy Run. And I've been that moment I was like, I have to do this. I have to race drones.
Man, and I'll tell you, I did grow up doing RC, and I had a RC gasoline-powered RC Sig Scamp. It was a high-wing, fixed-wing airplane, 3-channel deal. And man, my dad and I built that thing. We crashed it, we built it, we crashed it, and fixed it. And just to imagine that you could so easily learn to fly, and then take your skills even further. That's what's beautiful about it, is if you're a beginner, a Hubsan X4, like you said, that's a great thing to start with. My very first little indoor flyer was the first video I ever did actually was the SD's, it was a little micro drone, that little tiny
one. Same
thing, stocking stuffer, and I was like, whoa, this is so cool, and it's cool that your in-laws got it for you, because you really couldn't, they can't blame you. You
right, exactly.
So.
But I mean, yeah. Oh my gosh, I think for a while there were a little bit you sure?
It seems like you're doing pretty well so far. You just took a big step forward, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, tell me a little bit about how long you've been flying and kind of how you got into, or how you auditioned originally for DRL. How did you find out about that?
When I got started, I had an interest in content creation right alongside racing. So, it's making videos, it's understanding things, it's really diving deep and kind of figuring out the theory of racing as much as it is actually doing it. And so I would constantly call people up and interview them, kind of like we're doing now, and ask why are you fast and stuff. And so some of the first people that I talked to were Team Big Whoop. So Jordan Jet Tempkin, the 2-time DRL winning champion, A-Noob, who makes Show Me What You Got and the Steez and the Shrike. if you've heard of that. And I would constantly like bug them and be like, hey guys, why are you faster than everybody else? Like, what are you guys doing different? And, you know, I just put myself in front of them as much as I could and asked them questions. We became friends, and so they at that time they were in DRL season 1, which, you know, way back at the beginning, and
which wasn't that far back, actually.
It isn't, but I mean, it feels like it now.
Yeah, sure.
You know,
sure.
that was 2015, like so long ago.
3 years ago.
Or I guess it was 2016. But anyway, and so DRL started. They kind of created this new position called coaching, and that was kind of like we were basically. They were looking for emotional support animals for pilots who weren't used to like this level of pressure, right? Like none of us came from like or not many of us came from, you know, sports, like a background where we're in front of a lot of people, you know?
Right.
And so they wanted to have like people to strategize with and talk to that weren't competitors, essentially. And so I was brought in for that because Zach and Jordan put me in front of Ryan Gurry, director of product for DRL, and you know, and so I kind of got on the radar through that. And so like, but I mean, going to the World Championship in Detroit, where, you know, Jet wins for the first time, like, I mean, that was inspiring. You know, you get to see the best pilots in the world, you know, just throw down on the craziest track at the time we'd ever seen, and you know, that was awesome. And so I kind of took that and, you know, really doubled down on practice and pushed myself. I went to the DSA, Drone Sports Association, Drone Nationals in New York. I won second place there, just behind Anub. Actually, a long ways behind Anub. He was like 20 seconds faster than me,
right?
Which is insane. And then I took that, and that gave me a qualification to DSA's Drone Worlds. I went there, got second place as well. And like the next day, I remember I was sitting in the Airbnb of like where we were staying in Hawaii, and Ryan Gurry's on the phone and says, hey, you're coming to DRL season 2. So it was this combination of networking, of hard work, of you know, of winning and demonstrating, you know, like I want to be here, I want to get on.
You're showing your commitment, right? And people are attracted to that, especially if you show results and commitment. You know, it's just, that's awesome. So tell me a little bit about the experience of your first DRL race. You come in, you're the new guy, or, you know, probably one of several new guys. I mean, these tracks are just amazing and in different locations, and you're using tech that you're not used to, right? These aren't just standard 5.8 gigahertz Fat Shark analog receivers. You know, this is like crystal clear video. What was that like?
I mean, it was intimidating. So my first race was Miami Nights. There's two Miami, and
was that in the stadium?
Yeah, at in the Miami Dolphin Stadium down in Florida.
Yep, I remember that one.
It, you know, like these, even now, but especially then, like these guys, like I worshipped, right? Like this is like Jordan Temkin is my hero. Anub is another hero. And I, you know, I look up to these guys. And I'm like, there's no way I can ever be faster than you guys. And now I'm being thrust in front of, you know, 20 cameras and lights, and I'm getting a mic put on me, and producers are yelling at me and asking me hard questions like, why did you suck so bad in the last one? Not really, but, you know, and that's rough. You know, it's hard to compete.
I've never been there, so I can only imagine.
And I mean, when you're flying, like you have this much throw to control this machine moving 80 miles an hour, right? You know, and so like when you're in that situation, you have like a little bit of shakes, like that whole thing is just blah, 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 and you're crashing all the time. So my first race, dead last. I was 12th out of 12.
Wow. Well, you know what? That gives you the opportunity to climb, right?
Exactly.
If you had finished, imagine the pressure if you had finished first in that first race, right? So maybe you were inching up the pressure a little bit at a time. You know, it's a good way to think about it. So now you're flying with DRL gear, and I know they build their own drones, and they're super cool looking. They're 3S drones, right? So they're using a 3S battery. Is that right?
5S.
A 5, okay. I've heard them referred to as 3S, which I thought didn't seem like enough power. So okay.
Oh, that's the Racer 3S. So like the Racer 3 was the season 2 drone, and then this year is the Racer 3.
It's like Apple. It's
like an iPhone. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I kept saying how
I
could these
pushed
things
back
be
on
3S?
like I'm just like, let's make it 3.5. This is gonna get confusing. But yeah, so that's probably what you saw.
Yeah. Okay. Totally makes sense. What are those things like to fly? And also, do they let you practice on them much, or do you have to practice on your own gear and then kind of transition when you fly in a race?
Those are both great questions. I'm going to start with the practice and then go back to what it's like to fly.
Okay.
So when we practice, they send us 2-3 of them at the beginning of the season, and then all of the parts we need to keep it in the air. So like they'll send us a couple built ones, and then they'll send us parts because they're like, you guys can build it. Come on, let's you know what you're doing. And so we'll have enough parts to go out and practice every single day. And if we go through it, just ask and say, hey, I've been practicing. Here's my I like to prove it, not because I feel like I need to, but just to be like hey guys, like we're really working on it. I'm not just like building long range drones or something like that. And then but like what it's actually like to fly is, honestly, we really like flying it. I think a lot of people think we don't for some reason, because it is a pig. Like it's a 1 kilogram drone.
Well, it's got to carry all those lights, and it's got to be visible. And actually, bigger is better for the spectators, right? If they were too tiny, it wouldn't be as much fun to watch.
Exactly. But I mean, despite that, it flies really, really well. It's like, I mean, all 18 of us had input on the tune. So like we worked on it together, and like, because they're all identical.
I was going to ask if they're all tuned the same way. So they're all, so you don't get the custom tune or anything like that.
Nope. The only thing that we get some control over is the rate profile. And we're given like a series of 5 of them that are like on a Tyrannus, like one of the switch, like the knobs. And so we can pick from one of 5 of those, which we as a group have like built consensus on. Like, I want this, and then like for me personally, like once I picked one, I just set all of my own drones, Racer 3 or otherwise, to that rate profile. Got really comfortable with that and fly.
So that helps. And then did they standardize on? And I probably won't even use any of this stuff. I'm just curious. Do they standardize on Tyrannus radios, or do you get to pick Spectrum or whatever?
They have like 10 Tyrannus 9XDs that they need those to plug into their system with the JR module. So like there's a JR module in the back. It just plugs in, and then it goes into their radio control system.
And that brings me right to my next question about the whole system and how they can penetrate concrete and go such long distances. I assume and they always say, in the announcement, it's like DRL uses a proprietary system to give you the bird's eye view or whatever. Can you share anything about what that is? Is it just a bunch of repeaters? Is it like OcuSync? I mean, what is this?
I have met all 3 of the PhD in radio frequency staff on site that are there helping us make sure that everything works. So there are very smart people building very complicated systems to make sure that it works. So even when we're racing at DRL, it is analog, but it's the best analog video I've ever seen, kind of thing. So because we need that for the latency, the real time. Like no HD system has caught up to what analog can do in terms of just raw performance. So in terms of like what it's like to see, it's no different, except that it's just crystal clear. You don't
get all the dropouts and the static and all that sort of thing. None of that.
No. Yeah. Wow. That's taken care of. Awesome. So it's just really, really clear analog video.
And then I assume, you were talking about different rates and stuff. I assume there is no self-leveling going on in these things. This is total acro mode, right?
No, and actually that was a big discussion at the beginning of the season. A couple pilots keep a level mode on as like a oh crap kind of thing, and like they just bump into horizon and just let it level itself out. That's
exactly what I do. Like if I get in trouble, I'm just like, yep, okay, thank you.
And I mean, it's these are like top level pilots, and they do it too. And I'm like, really, you do that? Like I've never even considered that. So there was a discussion, but no, there's only acro mode or rate mode available for us when we're flying.
You would think, and with the moves you have to make, self-leveling it would be detrimental. I mean, you wouldn't be able to do those moves. I mean, that stuff where you're coming up through something and having to do a Emmelman roll and all this other stuff, crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Tell me what you do to deal with pressure. How do you you talked about sport animals, music. How do you personally? And again, you're not As a matter of fact, I think most software people, most people who do coding and stuff like that, they're more introverted. They're not used
absolutely.
to the spotlighted. What is that like for you?
So I've been trying to figure that out lately. Like, I mean, I have a system and it has worked sometimes. It sometimes doesn't work. Right now, because you're absolutely right. I am very introverted. I kind of shut down. I'm not good at a party or whatever like that. But what I have been figuring out is that I've been trying to like split my personality a little bit. So I've got Paul Nurkkala, who, is quiet, works hard, will get stuff done, kind of focus on himself. And then there's NURK, and NURK is gonna trash talk a little bit. He's gonna get out there. He's gonna try to win. He's gonna have the attitude of a champion. And so by separating those two, I don't feel weird about stepping into the NURK shoes a little bit, and I don't feel weird about being in who I really am. And so by kind of allowing myself to kind of take on this other personality, to be a little bit more outgoing, a little bit more excited, and like I'll scream a little bit, I'll give some whoops and stuff like that, and like in that I think that being able to switch into that mode has really helped me a lot.
That's stuff that Paul would never do. It's stuff that
exactly
only NURK does. Yeah,
exactly.
Dude, that's awesome. Actually, I heard you say that in an interview with somebody during the season. You mentioned that, and I think that's a great way to approach it. Is almost like a role you're playing. So I'm gonna play this role, and then I'm gonna shut it off at the right time. But it's funny because NURK comes out. I mean, you do come across as pretty confident and boisterous, and also just like you're having a good time.
There's real passion. It's we're playing with what people might talk about as toys, but we're professionals, and we really care about what we're doing, and we're really, really driving it forward as best we can. And so just to hear people excited about seeing stuff like that makes my day. Like, that's great.
Awesome. So how has winning DRL this year changed your life?
I have been kind of filled with this like overwhelming sense of relief. For the last 3 years, like every spare moment has been practicing, building, repairing, asking my wife, hey, can I go out and fly some more? Like all of this stuff, it's been coming together to that moment. And you come across, you finish that line. I remember I remember my face just hurting from smiling and just feeling that overwhelming sense of like, finally, we're here, we're done, we did it, we won, we finished the race. So for now, like the biggest change has been, I don't feel as much pressure. I can relax a little bit. I did what I spent 3 years trying to do.
Well, Paul, man, you are truly you're truly a champion, and also just thank you so much for taking the time. I hope that you seem like a really grounded guy, and I hope that you can keep that with all the stuff that's going to be approaching you, and just to come join me on my little show is much appreciated.
It's my pleasure. I mean, guys like you that are taking the time to create content and to push it out there and demonstrate to the world that drones and drone racing aren't scary. It's fun. It's people that are really passionate. It's a community of people that all because we all share this common interest, like we really care about each other, and we're developing human relationships, and I've seen lives saved by drones, not just because of the things that they could do, but because of the relationships that were formed as a result of them. And so like no matter what, like bringing our community to a global scale to bring more people in and get more people excited about it is awesome. And so I commend you for working so hard to do that and building your channel and all of that, and I hope that I can help contribute to that in some way. So
absolutely. Well, you just have. And then also I do have one other ask for you, and that is to when this video goes live, to check in the comments and reply to people. That's one thing I try to do every day. I get up every morning around 6 o'clock, and when I'm drinking my coffee, I go in and reply to comments, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's fun. I love it. I think youtube.com/comments is my most viewed
like URL. So I totally understand.
Sweet, sweet. Well, thanks again, man. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to, obviously, if you want to learn more about NURK and Paul, subscribe to his channel. I'll put a link at the end of the video, and I'll put a link in the description. You should definitely check him out. This guy is the world champion right now, and you know, it doesn't get any better than that. But he's got a long way to go because he's young, and he's going to keep doing this, and he may be the world champion for a long time to come. So you could say, I knew him when. Hey man, thanks again. This has been fantastic. This has been Ready Set Drone. If you like the video, subscribe to Paul, and we'll see you next time.